You just finished a great day at work, you hit your KPIs, your boss gave you a shout out in the Slack channel, and honestly, you feel like you're finally making it. You head to happy hour with a few coworkers. The drinks are flowing, the vibe is good, and then it happens. Someone brings up the new state law. You know the one, the pay transparency law that forces the company to post salary ranges. Or maybe someone just had one too many IPs and lets it slip. Yeah, I'm finally up to 85,000. Your heart drops because you're making 75. You've been there longer. You think you're better at the job. Suddenly, that $75,000, the amount that felt like a massive win when you signed the offer letter 6 months ago, feels like a slap in the face. The steak dinner you were about to order, it tastes like cardboard. The promotion you were gunning for, it feels like a participation trophy. Here's the thing. We've been told for years that salary transparency is the great equalizer. We're told that if we just knew what everyone else made, we'd all be paid fairly and we'd all be happier. But today, I want to challenge that. Because for most of you watching this, knowing everyone's salary isn't going to make you richer. It's actually going to make you financially miserable. My name is Mike, and I spend way too much time thinking about how our brains trick us into making terrible financial decisions. If you're someone who is constantly checking Glassdoor, wondering if your market value is being met or feeling like you're falling behind despite a growing bank account, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I'm all for fair pay, but there is a massive difference between equity and happiness. And the math on this is actually pretty shocking. Let's start with a term you need to know, relative deprivation. In social psychology, this is the idea that we don't judge our well-being based on how much we have in absolute terms. We judge it by comparing ourselves to the people around us. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain is a comparative machine, not a calculating machine. There was a fascinating study from researchers at the University of Warwick and Cardiff University. They looked at 80,000 observations of life satisfaction and income, and they found something called the rank income hypothesis. The math is simple and brutal. Your level of happiness isn't tied to the $100,000 you earn. It's tied to whether that $100,000 makes you the number one earner in your peer group or the number 10 earner. If you make $100,000 and everyone else in your office makes $80,000, you feel like a king. You're more likely to save, more likely to feel secure. But if you make $150,000 and find out the guy in the cubicle next to you, who spends half his day looking at memes, is making $160,000, that $150,000 starts to feel like poverty. This is where it gets really interesting. The study found that individuals weight upward comparisons 1.75 times more heavily than downward comparisons. Basically, finding out someone makes more than you hurts twice as much as finding out someone makes less than you feels good. By pushing for total transparency, you are essentially signing up for a 2-to-1 ratio of misery. You're opening a door where you're almost guaranteed to find someone above you, and that information acts like a virus in your financial planning. Now, you might be thinking, Mike, if I find out I'm underpaid, I'll just ask for a raise. How is that a bad thing? Okay, let's look at the math of a transparency raise. Let's say you're making $70,000. You find out your peer makes $80,000. You go to your boss, you fight, you argue, and after 3 months of stress, they bump you to $80,000. Success, right? $10,000 extra. But here's what usually happens next. The lifestyle comparison shift. When you didn't know what others made, you were living your life based on your goals. But once you enter the transparency arena, your spending habits often shift to match your new rank. If you know everyone at your level is making $80,000 and you see them driving the new Tesla or wearing the $400 boots, you subconsciously feel entitled to that same lifestyle because, hey, you make the same money now. There's a reason why 50% of people earning over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. It's because their spending isn't dictated by their needs. It's dictated by the averages of their peer group. If transparency tells you that the average salary for your role is higher, you don't just see it as more money in the bank. You see it as a license to inflate your lifestyle to the new standard. You might gain $10,000 in income, but lose $15,000 in peace of mind because you've traded a private, comfortable life for a public, competitive one. Here's a revelation that almost nobody talks about. When companies are forced into salary transparency, they don't just throw money at everyone. A study published in the Academy of Management Journal found that managers react to transparency by doing two things that actually hurt high performers: pay compression and idiosyncratic deals. First, pay compression. To avoid office drama, managers start paying everyone almost exactly the same amount. They flatten the curve. If you're a rock star doing 2 times the work of your peers, transparency actually makes it harder for your boss to pay you what you're worth because they're terrified of the misery it will cause the rest of the team. But here's the kicker. The study found that to keep the high performers from quitting, managers start making secret arrangements under the table. They can't give you the $20,000 raise because everyone would see it. So instead, they give you an extra 2 weeks of off-the-books vacation, or they let you work from home 4 days a week while everyone else is in the office, or they pay for a special certification. Gee, that's really just a luxury conference in Vegas. This is the under-the-table economy. Transparency pushes the real rewards into the shadows. So now, not only are you miserable because of the salaries you can see, but you're also paranoid about the perks you can't see. You're playing a game where the rules are constantly shifting, and that uncertainty is a recipe for financial anxiety. Now, I know what some of you are typing in the comments right now. Mike, salary transparency is the only way to close the gender and racial pay gap. And look, you're right. On a systemic bird's eye view level, transparency is a powerful tool for social justice and corporate accountability. I'm not saying we should go back to the 1950s where everyone was in the dark, but I'm talking to you as an individual. I'm talking about your mental health and your personal bank account. The salary transparency myth is the belief that more information always leads to better decisions. But in finance, more information often just leads to more noise. Think of it like this. If you're running a marathon and you're constantly looking over your shoulder to see how fast the person behind you is going, or looking ahead to see why that guy has better shoes than you, you're going to trip or you're going to burn out. The most financially successful people I know are the ones who actually keep their money, don't give a rip about their salary rank. They care about their internal benchmark. So, how do we fix this? How do you live in a world of transparency without the misery? Step 1, shift from income rank to savings rate. Stop measuring your success by how your salary compares to Bob in accounting. Start measuring it by what percentage of your income you're keeping. If you make $70,000 and save 20%, you are technically richer than the guy making $90,000 who saves 5%. Hey, transparency can't tell you his debt levels or his stress. Focus on the math you can control. Step 2, define your enough before you see their more. Write down exactly what salary you need to live your ideal life. If that number is $80,000 and you're making $85,000, you have won. Period. If you find out someone else makes $100,000, it shouldn't matter because your enough hasn't changed. Step 3, use transparency as a tool, not a mirror. Use the data to negotiate once a year, then put it away. Don't let it become a daily ticker tape in your brain. If the market says your role is worth $10,000 more, go get it. But once you have it, stop looking. At the end of the day, Your salary is just a tool to buy your time back. That's it. When we obsess over what everyone else is making, we're essentially letting them live rent-free in our financial plans. We're letting their career path dictate our happiness. Knowledge is power, sure, but uncurated knowledge is just a burden. Don't let the salary transparency myth turn your workplace into a high school popularity contest. You're there to provide value, get paid, and build a life that you actually enjoy, not a life that looks good compared to the guy in the next cubicle. If you found this helpful, or if you've ever had that stomach drop moment finding out a coworker's salary, let me know in the comments. How did you handle it? Did it make you work harder, or did it just make you want to quit? I read as many as I can. Thanks for watching. Go focus on your own numbers, and I'll see you in the next one.